we'll circle back here, I think, to 2025. And we did a ladder predictor. Was that 2 weeks ago that we did that?
Yeah.
We sort of tried to predict out who was going to miss the finals, who was going to make the top 4, all of that sort of stuff. From memory, we had Hawthorn as the unlucky team to miss the top 8. And I think we had Brisbane outside the top 4.
When we did it, I reckon they had just lost to the Gold Coast Suns in a big way, which wasn't enough for us to knee jerk. But it
was a difficult run home.
It had implications on the way the finals would shape up. And as it stands, they're actually probably less likely to make the 4 now.
But it's happened
for different reasons.
For a different reason. It's happened in a different way than what we expected.
Yeah.
I think based on our selections too, like you're looking at like Collingwood, who are probably a little bit more vulnerable now.
Yes.
I think we might have had the Giants in the 4, again, based on a good draw and a presumption that they'd probably beat.
I don't think they made the 4, but they made a prelim.
That's right.
Yeah. We had Gold Coast in the 4.
We did.
Yeah,
okay.
Which I think will still happen.
I think there's a high likelihood that will happen. I'm just going to like go through some of the games here that like the big games that were sort of a part of that.
Yeah.
So one of the big ones that we got wrong in round 21 was Dogs versus Giants. Mm-hmm. We tipped the Giants to win that game.
That's the worst one. That was like the 3rd game after we did this?
Yeah. I think that was largely my fault. I'm going to take some...
I did tip the Dogs personally.
Yeah. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Crows versus Hawks. We got that one correct.
Yeah, line ball though. Hawthorn were better than I was expecting.
And I remember you said, and it was a good point, like when Hawthorn lost that game, they looked really good.
Yeah, they rose in my estimations having watched that game.
Having lost the game. Obviously, that shows you what a draw can do, though, because you can still lose a game and look really good.
Yeah.
D's obviously a bit West Coast, Suns over the Tigers, Swans versus Essendon. And then the next one that we got wrong was Lions v Pies.
Yeah. Who would have thought that the Lions beating Collingwood, we thought, okay, maybe the 4 is safe, but it's the Pies that they beat at the G and then they lose at home to the Swans.
Yep.
It's funny how life works.
It is funny how life works. Pretty much everything else went to plan there on the Sunday. So Saints beat North, Cats beat Port Adelaide, and Freo beat Carlton, although that was a bit sketchy.
It was, yeah. I think Freo's had a couple of weeks in a row against teams that they historically don't play well against.
Yep.
But they've come over the top and won, which shows their growth, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see their push for the top 4. We got Hawthorn versus Collingwood wrong. So tipped the Pies there. And then the Hawks bounced back after that Adelaide game. And we had Hawthorn. I feel like this rescues Hawthorn.
Yeah, totally.
From missing the 8. So I think there's a conversation to have there.
Yeah.
It also really throws Collingwood, based on the 2 weeks here, getting them wrong 2 in a row. It throws them back into the missing top 4 conversation.
Oh, totally.
Heavily.
They've lost 4 of their last 5.
Yep. And then everything else goes to plan and the Lions slip up against the Swans, which now puts their top 4 hopes in massive jeopardy. You could have a situation here, Jesse, where Collingwood and Brisbane both missed the top 4.
It was probably the most expected grand final matchup for a large part of this season. And it could still happen, but it is funny to... It's like, I mean, Collingwood's kind of more capitulated than Brisbane. Brisbane beat Collingwood at the MCG and looked $1 million. Like, how are we in this position? I suppose there was also the Gold Coast loss.
It's so interesting because when we did that, we did a ladder predictor, I reckon, 8 weeks ago. I don't know, 6 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And both you and Druzy in that video tipped Collingwood to drop games and finish, I think, 3rd.
I had them 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, I think you might have both had them in 3rd position.
Yes, yeah.
I just assumed that, I didn't think it was going to be an absolute clear run. It wasn't like I thought, they're like way ahead of the pack or anything like that. But it was like that opened up such a big gap. It was like, how are they going to, they're not going to go on an all-time bad run, but they sort of have 4 out of the last 5.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember people in the comments were like really harsh on you guys for that.
Yeah.
With like tipping them not to finish on top. And that's been justified.
Pies fans are pretty proud. And I don't mean that in a sarcastic, passive-aggressive way, but I have copped some of the worst heat from Collingwood fans over the stretch when you say they're not going to win the flag.
yeah, okay. Well, they're in trouble. They're in genuine trouble at the moment. So they sit in 3rd place. Who is their next game against? That is the question. So round 23.
I think I had them losing 3 when I did that original ladder predictor, the one we did in June or something like that.
So you didn't even think it was going to be, and that was 3 all the way through to the end.
Yeah, I reckon it was Gold Coast, to tip that correctly. I think the Brisbane Lions at the time, I was like, I reckon Brisbane win that. And then I changed my mind and changed it back again. I didn't have them losing to Fremantle, but the Crows game would be the 3rd one.
That would have been the 3rd. And they've ended up throwing in Freo to that as well.
And Hawthorn.
So is that 5 out of 6?
Nah, that's 4 out of 5 because they haven't lost to the Crows yet.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's happening this week.
Yeah, next week, yeah.
So if they do lose that game, and if the Gold Coast Suns beat the Giants, if Hawthorn beat Melbourne, is that potentially throwing them... Hawthorn won't jump them yet unless they win by... They could win by a bit though, couldn't they? Hawthorn have a 121%. So if that's a 6-7 goal win, they would jump the Pies, wouldn't they?
Yeah, probably.
If they were to lose.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This could get really bad really quickly for...
I think there's a scenario. I think I was messaging you. When Hawthorn and Collingwood were playing, I think I was messaging you my different ladder permutations. And I think there's a very reasonable outcome or realistic outcome that Fremantle can finish like second or third still. And I think it relied on Sydney beating Geelong next week, which it doesn't seem like a crazy thing. Like I think it's in Sydney at the SCG. Sydney versus the Cats. Like that becomes a huge game for the Cats season.
The Dockers next 2 is difficult though, right? So
yeah,
they've got Brisbane at home.
Well, it's not a good time to play Brisbane, I reckon.
They're favourites.
Yeah. I don't know who. I think I'll tip the Lions in that one purely because
definitely tip the Lions.
Now it's tipped that way where Brisbane need to win. I think that works against Fremantle.
Yeah, I don't know why, and I was trying to work this out in my head, but say like Collingwood in 2023 had a similar sort of run as the Dockers, where closing out all these really close games. Why don't I have the same level of trust when Fremantle do it? Like I feel like this run of form hasn't been particularly compelling for me, even though it has shown a side of Freo that they're able to get themselves out of these problems. I don't like the fact that they're consistently getting pulled into this, I suppose, from teams like Port Adelaide, Carlton,
St Kilda, North.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much anyone that they play against seems to pull them into a little bit of a dogfight. And there's a level of trust that I don't have with them.
I think they win ugly, with all due respect to them. They're not like one of these teams that can put... like my roommate was asking me, what are the odds that Fremantle win by 50 points? He wanted to bet on it. And I was just like, I cannot imagine a world. Fremantle's much better than Port Adelaide. There's no chance they win that game by 50 points, purely because it's just not their DNA.
Yeah.
They don't win games like that too often unless it's the Derby. West Coast is in its own league at the moment.
Yeah.
But that is just something that Fremantle do, and therefore I think that comes into the psychology when you think about Fremantle. You don't expect them to annihilate teams. But one thing that they haven't done is slip up for a long time now. They lost to the Swans. That's not really a slip up. I'd say that's just a
It felt
tough
like
game.
It could have been at the time. Like it could. I felt like when they lost to Sydney, I was sort of like, in my head, I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
But then they were able to bounce back against Collingwood pretty much directly after that. That was, I think, a really team building win for them.
So even that one though, I think we said it last week, they sort of hung in there and then they deserved to win. They came over the top and fair play to them. It was a great win.
That's a quality though. Like when you think about good sides over the year, to be able to do that when you're not, because you can't be up all the time. And I think that's a quality in really poor sides that when they're down, only got to look at North Melbourne or West Coast probably, but when they're down, they're bloody down. Like you can score against them so quickly. So in the periods where maybe the energy's not quite there, to be able to hold on and be able to stay in the game, I think is something that bodes well for finals.
I do
but
agree
there
with
is
that.
something about Fremantle, I think from a killer offensive point of view where I just don't fully trust them.
It's fair. Also, it's probably a little bit of, rightly or wrongly, the fact that they're not a successful brand.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think this was the 9th time Fremantle will have qualified for finals, which is wild.
Yeah.
That's not very many times.
There's a bit of mythology there, isn't there, where you just don't see them as a killer side as well.
And it creates this bias, which is not necessarily correct because it's really only important how good the 23 players are on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
And to their credit, they haven't really slipped up much at all.
No.
Not to compare them to the 3-peat Hawthorn side, but when you said that, it just reminded me. Obviously, my team was trying to win a premiership around that era, so I just remember looking at Hawthorn going, oh, they're losing. They're going to lose this game. Look at the inside 50 count, blah, 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 and they always still win.
They still find a way to win.
And so it is absolutely a quality of good sides to win ugly.
Yeah. I guess the question is, it remains. I think we talked about it a bit earlier in the season with Gold Coast because they were the side of my ladder predictor at the beginning of the year. The one that's outside that I had in sorry, the one that's in that I had outside is the Gold Coast Suns. And that was largely off that kind of like mythology around the club, I feel.
Yeah.
The fact that we've never seen them do it. So it's like until I see them do it, there's a trust level that isn't there, which again is not really the most objective way to look at football, but it does come into it. And I think like even the way you hear Damien Hardwick talk about, you know, like we need to grow the fuck up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wordy says Brisbane for that Freo matchup, Brisbane more reliable away from home this year, I feel. And then he said Freo aren't killers.
Yeah, it's just something they need to prove still. That's all. But what they do have now is belief.
Yes.
I do wonder though, like at some point, I wonder if they'll be sitting ducks for an opponent because they have won. I think the stat is like the last 6 or 7 games, other than the Derby, they've been behind in the last quarter, but won them all, maybe with the exception of the Sydney game.
That's why I'm using that comparison of Collingwood in 23 because I feel like there was for some reason though, even at the time, like I was really confident that Collingwood were going to win that premiership.
Yeah.
Where there was a narrative amongst opposition fans that like, oh, they've won shit. You can't kind of keep doing this. This is going to catch up with you. Like I remember that being a narrative in 2023. The fact that they would get behind by 3 or 4 goals at 3/4 time, and then they would run over the top of teams. Like, you know, you can't. There's an idea that you sort of have to have more scoreboard pressure on, and these things will catch up with you. I'm not sure what that means. And that's why I'm having difficulty looking at the Freo situation because I'm like, well, why am I thinking like that? And you probably make a good point about the brand.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think I do worry for them a little bit, having just sort of scraped by so many times in a row that it might capitulate.
And by worry for them, you mean you're really happy?
I'm preying on their downfall. We're going to do a ladder predictor because this is always fun this time of year. And we can probably even like go back and change 50-50 games and see the permutations.
Absolutely.
GWS versus North Melbourne. Who do we think is going to win this? Should we just go Giants by 45?
Yeah.
That is the current margin. Melbourne versus the Western Bulldogs today. We're happy to say the Bulldogs win that game. It's not going to have a huge impact, I would have thought, unless Melbourne upset them today.
I think it's a slight danger game, but given what we've seen from Western Bulldogs, I think you just have to tip them, don't you?
And let's go 30 points. Their percentage is so high, it's not going to matter.
Do you think, I just wanted to throw in one thing there.
Yeah.
New coach bounce?
Yeah, is it Chaplin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coaching today.
Yeah, just sometimes you see that little bit of a sugar hit randomly.
I really hope that Melbourne don't win this game because this video will come out like when we clip it up, it'll come out after the game. So if we've got the first one wrong, that will change it.
Yeah, we just have to trust them.
We can go back and change at the end. West Coast v Adelaide. Let's really take our time with this one. Let's go 100 points.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it'll be 100 points, I reckon.
Oh my God.
St Kilda Essendon, you'd think St Kilda win that. Again, it doesn't really matter for this. No. So this is the first real big one.
Yep.
Fremantle versus the Brisbane Lions. We did say Fremantle were favourites at $1.77.
Yep. I'm like personally, like I said, at that trust factor, and given that Brisbane really need to win it, I think they win it.
For me, it's probably not trust. I trust that Fremantle can win this game. Okay. For me, it's almost a little bit like with Collingwood a few weeks ago. How long can you sustain this run? I know you just used the opposite example where Collingwood continued that way in 2023, but I'm a little bit wary for Fremantle here. Like tough couple of games to end the season. They might, I don't know. I feel like this is a tough time to play Brisbane, who now have a lot to play for, and I'm going to tip Brisbane.
People in the chat also saying that if Brisbane lose their final 2 games, they miss the 8.
Yeah, wow.
So that gives like a whole new level of jeopardy for this game for them. So, that probably for me makes me lean Brisbane slightly strongly.
I mean, Brisbane is better.
I think they're a better team.
They're a better team than Fremantle. I don't think it's an unreasonable tip, but Fremantle can win. Let's just say 10 points. But we can see all the different combinations at the end. Yep. This is a huge one. The Expansion Cup, Gold Coast versus GWS. Earlier this year, they played at NG, I reckon. And Gold Coast led the whole day and GWS came back and won.
Yep. They stole it.
I think in our ladder predictor, you said the Giants win this game.
Yeah, I probably did. I'm less confident after the diabolical performance against the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And particularly away from home.
Yeah.
I actually have a decent level of trust with the Giants this season when it comes to them playing against top teams.
Yeah.
The games that they have sort of struggled with are those like mid-tabley teams. Like they lost to Sydney.
The Dogs and Fremantle they lost to as well.
Yeah.
Well, they got belted by the Dogs twice.
Geez, though, like when the Giants, like, and people say like I rate them too highly, but when they turn the screws, they play better football than anyone in the comp. When they really
Agreed.
Everything gels and like they put it all together, and they've got so many good players.
I think in Metricon, it's not called that anymore, but I reckon Gold Coast win this personally.
I'm accepting of that.
We can all these 50-50 games. We'll go back and have a look.
That would almost ensure that Gold Coast finish. I don't know why I said that like that.
It was fancy.
I say strange things sometimes. That would ensure that they finish in the top 4, surely.
Just about. I think the margins are so thin, though, any unexpected result will have a pretty big
Remembering
reverberation.
they've got Essendon as a freebie at the end of the year.
Yeah, you'd think they win that. Carlton versus Port, who cares? Because it doesn't matter.
We'll say Carlton
can have it. That's fine. Hawthorn should be far too good for Melbourne, 5 goals.
This is big.
Yeah, I mean...
You have to tip Adelaide.
I was going to say, we can't possibly tip Collingwood, can we? They can win, but they could also lose this game by 10 goals at this rate. So let's just say the most likely result is Adelaide by 25.
Yeah.
I think North win this, but again, it doesn't really matter. Let's give it to you.
Yeah. No confidence.
They could lose. I think it's the Tassie factor. I reckon North win. Sydney versus Geelong. This actually does have a big impact, not because Sydney is really playing for... in fact, not at all. I don't think they can make the 8, can they?
They've been the most compelling spoiler team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they could win this game, but it does have a major effect because if Geelong lose this, then other teams then slot into the top 4, and one of those could be Fremantle.
Yes.
Who are we saying? I think it's tough.
Do you know why Sydney are so tough? Because Isaac Heaney can do Isaac Heaney things.
Yeah.
Like he could rip them apart.
Yes.
Almost individually.
He's done it a few times this year.
Yeah.
To various clubs.
SCG, like... I'm trying to think of recent matches between these two teams, like typically, like actually at home,
this ground.
At this ground, because like, obviously the grand final in 22 is in my head.
I can get it up.
Just like form, because I don't know. I feel like Geelong potentially don't play well there, but I might be making that up when it comes to
this here.
What do we got? We've got head-to-head coming in here. What are people saying in the chat?
This is the head-to-head at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Last year, Sydney won by 5 goals, and there was a draw in 2023.
That one of them would have been the Buddy Franklin, like in recent years, the Buddy Franklin.
Yeah, I reckon that was 22.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah,
because that was the year that they played in the premiership.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Or the loss.
Yeah, the premiership for Geelong.
Yes. But yeah. So at the SCG, Sydney have been getting the dubs, as far as I can see.
Billy Cap says Sydney win. I would almost be like willing to tip an upset here.
Yeah. Should we go 1 point? And again, we'll go back and revisit it because it's one of those games. Ooh.
Tough one.
72. That's fine. Who cares? Carlton will win for that, probably. Now, this is also a bit dicey. But I think we have to say Collingwood will win this game.
You have to tip it. But that is an enormous game. Because what I want to know there, round 24, what's happening? Where are they? What happens if they do lose? Can you just do can we just do for a second? Like, I'm not going to tip against them, but...
okay, what happens if they lose? Well, they're second on the live ladder, and then they're down to 6th if they lose that game.
Oh, that's scary for them.
Yeah, and that's mid-round too.
They don't play Melbourne well.
No, they really don't. We'll go back and say that.
Yeah, we'll say the Pies.
Port Adelaide versus Gold Coast. Yeah, this is a tough one. Banana skin game here for the Suns.
Yeah, you can't... There's no trust factor for Port Adelaide for me.
Yeah.
To win this game.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
We'll pencil it in, but...
they just haven't done it. They haven't really given you any evidence to suggest that they'll win that game.
Yeah. Adelaide dispense with North Melbourne pretty easily, I would have thought.
Easily
Geelong, yeah.
Sydney, nothing game though. You've got to go Giants.
Yeah, you'd have to go the Giants there. I feel like the Saints playing well though, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Bulldogs and Fremantle. Okay, look at the ladder here.
Yes, this is what I want to go through.
That's crazy.
So,
because Fremantle could easily finish like 3rd still. That's how like tight these margins are. But if they lose this, they're out of the finals.
You're kidding. Still,
I reckon if I'm looking at this correctly, let's just say the Bulldogs win this. There's still games left, but Fremantle's that's their last game of the year with 15 wins. 15 wins, won Richmond and the Bulldogs premierships.
Far out.
And possibly even Brisbane last year.
I thought they were like 100% safe now.
So did I. I mean,
that could happen.
It could happen. It relies on us getting all of these predictions right. But
we've tipped them to lose to Brisbane.
Yeah, the Bulldogs,
which is quite likely, and the fact that if they had to win that game, if they had to beat Western Bulldogs to make the finals, that would make it really terrifying for them. I feel.
Yeah,
it
could galvanise them too.
You always look at the potential.
Well, yeah.
You protect yourself.
Well, I didn't want to use the unfair logic because I just said Brisbane now have stakes, so they'll beat Fremantle, and then use the opposite logic against Fremantle.
Yeah. I think that comes back to trust, though, doesn't it?
It does come back to
LG
trust.
Sports says Brisbane won with 14.5 wins last year.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go.
Incredible.
Yeah, and then Fremantle in this scenario have 15 wins and are now outside the 8. So, okay, Brisbane v Hawthorn at the Gabba. I no longer think that this is a gimme for Brisbane because I was kind of underselling Hawthorn a couple of weeks ago. This could absolutely be a Hawthorn win.
It absolutely could be. I feel contradictory, though, myself, after saying that they're going to go over to Perth and beat Freo, sort of like being relatively comfortable about that and then saying like Hawthorn could win this at the Gabba.
Yeah,
that feels...
doesn't make any sense,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I agree with, like, given the way that Hawthorn have performed in the last couple of weeks. I mean, then again, though, like we have that Adelaide game as an example. Like they went over there, they played really well, but they still lost.
Yeah.
You would have to go Brisbane.
We'll go Brisbane. That's who I would lean towards. God, there's so many games in this season. I keep thinking we're about the end. And Gold Coast
that would be the end.
Okay, so
Gold Coast finished second.
What? This is really just an exercise to see what's possible rather than
so in that scenario where you've got Collingwood fifth. Have Collingwood lost both games or one game?
They lost one game.
Wow.
Because they beat Melbourne, but they lost to Adelaide.
So that's all they have to do to miss the 4?
Yeah.
From where they were?
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So Adelaide first, Gold Coast second, the Brisbane Lions third.
Gold Coast second is crazy. And Fremantle ninth is crazy to me.
Isn't it amazing?
I'm sceptical of it.
Geelong hold on to the top 4 after we had them losing an upset game to Sydney.
Yeah, true. That's probably how Gold Coast got so high because of that Geelong loss we gave them.
What happens if Fremantle beat the Dogs?
Yeah, so let's go through a fixture.
Yeah, we need to do some.
Okay. So Fremantle beat the Dogs. We go Fremantle by 10 points or whatever. Fremantle get a home final against Hawthorn and the Dogs are out. So that's just an elimination final. There's your wildcard weekend.
It is.
It is a wildcard weekend.
100%. So do Giants miss under no circumstances based on what we've got?
What have we got
happening
here for the Giants? We have them beating St Kilda and then
losing to the Suns.
And the Suns. Wow.
So they're in.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's worst case. Like I still think they could beat the Suns.
Yep.
And then Hawthorn we had them losing to the Lions.
Yeah.
In theory there, if the Hawks were to beat the Lions, where does that leave Brisbane? 7th.
Yep, 7th on the ladder.
And Collingwood 5th.
Yeah.
That's that scenario. And that would be Adelaide, Gold Coast, Geelong.
Let's go one step further and say Fremantle beat Brisbane. So in this scenario, we've given Fremantle both their wins.
And they're in the top 4.
And they're in 3rd, and Brisbane are in 8th. So Brisbane lose 2 games, they're still 8th.
They're still 8th. That's interesting. So they can't miss then. Or can they if the Dogs beat Freo?
Yes. Oops.
Oh, my.
Brisbane go to 9th.
I don't think there's a world, given like what we've just gone through there, and that's why I kind of wanted to do this. We can't predict this because we just don't know what those games are going to be. Like
it just gives you so much variance in the different outcomes possible here.
Yeah, I don't even think I can be confident that there's like a likely scenario.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, this is the most likely thing that's going to happen, even though you know that's never going to happen. It's so 50-50. Like there's too many 50-50 games.
Yeah. What if GWS beat Gold Coast? What does that do for like someone like a Fremantle? Okay, no, it only hurts them. Yeah.
That's if GWS beat the Gold Coast?
Yeah. I was trying to think what's the best possible outcome here for Fremantle.
He just can
would it be Brisbane
protects
beating
himself against Freo?
6. I'm just curious because like I think like
You're
there's
like,
a world.
I was curious because this might happen to me.
No, I just like, yeah, they're a big variable they're a big wildcard in the last 2 weeks to dictate.
Absolutely. Wordy says, can Pies miss the 8? Could they if they lost to Melbourne?
So where are we at? I feel like they still made it. No, they're ninth if they lose both games.
Oh,
brother. Oh, this is actually. There's been a narrative this year that the season hasn't been great, but the last couple of weeks here is crazy.
This is actually mental. I don't know. This couldn't be much better. I mean, obviously for the AFL, there's going to be a lot of dead rubbers.
Yeah.
Like a lot of games in between that, but there's some absolutely cracking finals-like games in this last couple of rounds. That's actually awesome. Someone else
starts tonight with West Coast versus Adelaide.
It starts tonight. It starts now, Jesse, with GWS versus North Melbourne.
Yeah.
And
we have had a bad run of like stinker fixtures, and then games that are meant to be great end up massively one-sided this year.
They do actually.
But the
and
drama
that could,
of this,
to be honest, these big games that could still happen, but they still are. They're meaningful.
They're still interesting because of the permutations.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone asked Benji G Man says, did Adelaide finish first in all of those scenarios?
Yeah, but we kind of left Adelaide alone there because we didn't. Change.
I think we need to go back just in one scenario here. Like there is a chance that Collingwood beat them.
Exactly. Yeah. Where are we?
The only thing that's like really pulling me away from Collingwood. I said Carlton? Sorry, Collingwood.
I thought you said Collingwood. I don't know.
Maybe I did.
Yeah. Collingwood can still make the 4 if they beat Adelaide.
Geez, they look slow in that game against Hawthorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly how they looked back at the beginning of the season when the Giants pumped them up in Sydney, and you were like, "Wow, this team!" It's like there's the old narrative, but they look so slow to be able to cover the ground. So David King was actually he was talking about that and kind of the loss that like Bobby Hill and McCreery both being out of the team massively affects the look of how they cover the ground because those guys are the ones with sort of genuine speed in that team. So I think that's probably something to note if they can get back.
Hawthorn's pace off halfback really exposed them as well.
Yes.
So
yeah, well, they're stacked with speed, aren't they? And a lot of athleticism in that team. Liam Harvey says, Freo win both games. Sydney beat Geelong and Adelaide beat Collingwood. Freo get top 4.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that is that the most likely we feel?
Oh, I've changed it so many times. I have no idea.
we don't know. We don't know anymore.
I don't know. But I think our most likely, the one that we did first run, Fremantle, was 9th. That's crazy.
My sort of like overarching takeaways there would be that we consistently had Adelaide, Geelong and the Gold Coast in the top 4.
No, because Sydney beat them. Oh, in the 4? Yes, Geelong, 4. Sorry, we're in the 4. You're right. Yeah,
not necessarily a home final or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they were the 3 teams that I think were consistently there.
Yeah.
The 5 to 8 section, I can't really think of a takeaway there. There were so many permutations where anyone could have dropped out of that 8.
Yes. Other than to say that on our first run, Fremantle was that unlucky team to finish 9th.